Hey, well, hello there, class. Welcome to the middle of the second week of Unit 3. I just wanted to post a quick video and answer about 3 questions. There's lots of questions that were asked, and there were some great questions asked, so thank you for that. But I don't want to take too much of your time, and I want to get to a couple that I think, I guess 3 questions that I think are appropriate and important for our conversation today, especially given some of the work that I even do and some of the conversations I had just today. So here's a question that was asked. Basically, they're asking, I'm going to paraphrase this a bit, I'm curious what my own, so this is a personal question, but I think it's one that probably many of you, if not all of you, are asking at least to some extent. What will my own definition of career be at the end of this course and at the end of the program? Basically saying that this individual came into the program with so many ideas of what they wanted to do, and then with each class there's more and more information that kind of is, so to speak, thrown at them, that they start to think, I wonder if I want to do that or I want to do this. And I hope that this career class will help you sort through some of that. But I hope that more than anything, what you'll find is that it's very helpful to have to kind of, I guess, inform you and ask some specific questions of yourself. Here's the thing: asking questions of yourself. Why do you want to do this? Or what do you even want to do? I had a conversation with a student this afternoon, and they were looking for some help on a resume, and I said, well, what do you want to do? Oh, I don't know. I said, well, let's figure out the what do you want to do question before we want to figure out the specifics of the resume, because you want to kind of, taper your resume to a specific job. But if you don't know where you're headed next, then we got to go there first, right? So one of the things that I've really been intentional and thoughtful in asking this question, or in formulating this course so you can ask questions, is to give you some exercises. So you'll see, again, starting this unit, there's an exercise that you'll actually walk through, and these are intentional. They are personal, much like this question. One of the things that I hear all the time, I've taught this class 9 years, and I always ask for feedback from students. And basically the biggest question I'm asking, well, there's many of them, but one of the biggest questions I'm asking is, what do you think about career development now at the end of the class compared to what you thought about career development, career counseling at the beginning of the class? Or what were some of your biggest takeaways? And I always hear, I thought this about career counseling and career development, now I think this. But here's the one that I hear more often than even that. I thought that taking this class was going to help me kind of inform me on how to help other people think about career. What I found, although that did happen, was it helped me to think personally about what I think about career, where it is that I'm headed in my career and what I want to do next. And so take full advantage of this course. Really dive into the content. So if you're asking that question, what is my definition of career going to look like? Well, I'm giving you some tools. These books are giving you tools to really help to shape the way that you think about career. You're going to go out and potentially do this work. In fact, I hope you do. I hope you'll actually use these exercises. And you'll find that in Tang, there's even more exercises included in the text than the ones that I've included in our book, in our course. I hope that you will apply them to other people when you're working with clients. But I hope first and foremost you'll apply them to yourselves. And the reason for that is I think that you will always be a better counselor if you've experienced the things that you're taking your clients through. Similar to why the program requires that you go through, I think it's, well, at least it was historically, 40 hours of counseling over the duration of the program, while you're being trained to then take other people through counseling, right? I hope that you will continue to kind of take that approach of, I have to kind of figure out some self-mastery, right, some self-leadership, so that I can then help other people to do the same. And that's what this course, in kind of by default, by way of instruction and assignment, is doing, to help you think about that personally so you can carry that out professionally. So I don't know what your definition of career will be, but I certainly hope that the content of this class, the conversations that are taking place, I hope that they will be an impetus to help you start to think, or maybe even continue to think, what do I want my career to look like? Why do I want it to look a certain way? What do I want it to include? What do I want it to not include? And then how am I actually taking those steps to get to my end goal, my desired end goal, right? And so hopefully every week you read and you think and you conversate in this course, it'll give you just a couple of nuggets here and there to really think deeply about what you want your career to look like. There's a lot more that could be said on this, and there's a lot more that will be said on this throughout the rest of the semester. But I think if you're asking that question, and I know at least one person, and I would venture to guess that most, if not all of you, as I said, are asking that question, at least a similar question. If you're asking that question, one of the byproducts of this course is to help you wrestle through and think through the answer to that question, so that you can then help others to wrestle through and answer that question themselves. So thank you for that great question. Very, very insightful. Here's another one. Are career counselors mainly employed in schools? Okay, the answer is no. Are they employed in schools? Yes, absolutely. Universities, colleges, community colleges, and so forth. They're employed in high schools oftentimes. You have a career counselor that's kind of helping you think through what sort of career path do you want to go? Do you want to go what they would call a vocational path? We talked about that, I think, last week, how we've kind of co-opted the word vocation to now mean occupation, when historically and theologically and philosophically it's meant something very different. So are they only in schools? The answer is no. Are they in schools? Yes, right? It's some would say career counselors are in schools, nothing more, nothing less. Definitely nothing less, right? But certainly there's some more spaces that they might end up in. So I actually operate a private career counseling practice. So I work out of my house and I meet with clients at local coffee shops, and we go through a lot of the same content that even we're learning in the class. And it's a lot of fun. I also work at a university, and I provide services to both current and former students here at the university, and that's a lot of fun. You probably would start to see some institutions, workplaces even, that would employ a career counselor or something like that. Municipalities, right? Whether it's government entities or city, county, regional offices provide these services. Nonprofits provide these services. So, I think probably if you were to look for even some sort of a correlation connection to where do you see social work type roles or counseling type roles, there's going to, if it's going to be especially a nonprofit or a public entity, there's probably going to be somebody or some buddies that are operating in some sort of workforce development, career counseling capacity. So I think these positions, career counseling roles, are more prominent in a school setting. They're definitely not limited only to that. If you were to do a quick search on, career development professionals, you'd find all sorts of resources. If you go to the National Career Development Association website, you'll find resources there. But yeah, there's people working all over, like I said, for-profit, nonprofit. They're predominantly viewed and seen in the school setting, but they happen all over the place. So if you're thinking, I don't want to work in a school setting, but I think I might actually really enjoy this work, there's opportunities that you could tap into and do this work and not have to work in a school or a university setting, for sure. So great question. Here's the last one I want to deal with. What happens when technology ends up shutting down most jobs? Maybe we could say some jobs, maybe not most jobs. That might be hopefully maybe a little bit too extreme, but it will definitely shut down some jobs. What will happen to career counselors? And what will happen to those who do not have interest in other jobs? That's a great question. So will technology end some jobs? Yes, I think so. There's pushback about technology, right? There's pushback. There's folks that are saying we're going to end up in a cashless society. Could that happen? Yeah, potentially. I don't know exactly what that looks like, right? We've got some end times discussion going on there, even the Book of Revelation. I don't want to go that route, but there's lots of conversations about that, right? So, but now you're seeing pushback in certain cities that are saying, no, we can't go cashless because that it's actually discriminatory. That limits people because they may not have access to credit. They may not have access to even checkbooks. They may not have a checking account. They may not have a bank account. They just only have cash. So I think in the same way, we're finding that although there's great developments in, artificial intelligence and robots and these different things, you'll never replace fully the human touch, the human capacity and ability to do good work. You'll never ever replace that. Now there are certain jobs that can be automated. Then there's some certain jobs that they've tried to, like I used to go to Albertsons and they automated the checkout stands. And then I think there was some union pushbacks. They wanted live people, right, to be in those roles. And so they did away with the electronic checkouts. Some stores will continue to do that. Some, fast food restaurants have that. Amazon has deployed a number of artificial intelligence type roles to pull things. You see, Redbox did away with Blockbuster essentially. And all of these automated ways. Well, now we just stream movies. We don't need to go to a store. So what will happen? I don't know that there's as an extreme view of automation doing away with all or most jobs. It's going to do away with some jobs. But I think then the latter part of your question maybe is the more interesting question, is what will happen to those who do not have interest in other jobs? I think they're going to have to, right? If you want to continue to work, the role of the career counselor is to help kind of get to the bottom of what's going on and why is it that potentially you don't have interest. And if you don't have interest in this role, perhaps you do in this role. So how do we get you from this point to this point? Maybe it's going through more education, more training, seminars, online, face-to-face, whatever it may be. But I think there was a great book written called Range, and it was essentially, the subtitle was talking about how generalists will survive in a world of specialization. So I think that's right. I think it's a brilliant book. Range is the title, by Epstein. It's a wonderful book. He previously wrote the book The Sports Gene, kind of came onto the scene. Before that, wrote for Sports Illustrated. But this idea that generalists are going to succeed. So, it used to be, we'd say you're a master of all, or a jack of all trades, master of none, right? And that was seen as somewhat of a negative thing. I think nowadays that's really a positive thing. So can you do multiple things? Can you pivot quickly? Because careers come and go, right? Jobs come and go. That question of how am I going to define my career? Are you going to define your career by a certain job, right? Are you going to define your calling by the work you do, the jobs that you're holding, or will you define calling and your career by who you are and what you do regardless of the job in which you're doing it? So there are certain positions that will never be, like I said, done away with automation. I think those that are more of an empathetic, human-centered, people-focused job. I think a therapist, right? Try talking to a computer about some of this emotional challenges that you're going through, or family challenges. You could, but it's probably not, well, I shouldn't say probably, it doesn't have the same human abilities and touch to respond accordingly. So I think there's those jobs that are somewhat safe. I think there's certain jobs that are absolutely, I think a career development, like you can take an assessment, but what's that going to tell you? I think that these roles, they're going to look different, but I think they're going to be incredibly important. I would say every time that an economy is shaken, right? You have a recession, right? You saw that 2007-8, we had the Great Recession. I think career counselors, career development professionals were in great demand. Job losses were taking place all over the place. And so this is the season that I was going through my time of underemployment. I didn't realize that these roles existed. Man, how different things would be if I had. I would have absolutely taken advantage of them. I just had no idea that I could have gone to seek out help. So I think that there will be people, yes, they'll, unfortunately, reality is that people will lose jobs to automation. If you are front and center and prominently known for doing this career development work, I would bet that in response to jobs being lost because of artificial intelligence, you will be the first people on the front lines that will be able to serve them and provide the services necessary to get them back on their feet into another good job. As much as some jobs are done away with, I think there's going to be new jobs that will prop up. We have been doing this for a long time, right? This whole economy thing. And sometimes we do it well and sometimes we don't. Work is something that is, it's inevitable. It's just part of what people do. It's innate within us. We are born and bred to work. And there's a sense of fulfillment when we do good work. And so one of the things that we as career counselors get to do is help people find good work, help people think about good work, and then help people think about alternative good work when perhaps other good work goes away. So I know that's kind of a little bit like, you didn't give me a full answer, like what are we actually going to do? Because I think the dreaded answer, and it's the correct answer, is it depends, but here's some great ways to think about it. So thank you for your questions. I appreciate all that you have put into them, to the thought and the processes and things, along with your takeaways and your actionable items. Hope you have a great rest of the week. I'll be updating grades here by the end of the week, and so you can watch for that. Any questions, please let me know, and I look forward to seeing you online.